sixth president that yet to come.
Yeah.
So basically, you have, a protection device in your mind. How can this $150 million project be protected? Are you going to get it through government sovereignty? How does that government sovereignty, come to play?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's two ways. One, let's use the ONE plan, because that's what the federal government do, oil and gas. They are the customer, and then they distribute it out to the companies that are on the port there. But the customer is the government. In that case, we're looking at something that looks like a letter of credit or a sovereign guarantee. In the same thing, they kind of mean the same thing from what they're standing for. What they're basically saying is that 15 years from now, you are still going to buy our power. And we've already discussed what the payment schedule is going to be, increases, whatever it's going to be. That's already in the power purchase agreement. Because it's very, very important that, we know that a change of administration does not mean I've spent $150 million and you say, well, we don't want to do that anymore. 6 years from now, 12 years from now. When it comes to companies, then it's a letter of credit, which again is basically saying the same thing. It's saying that this amount of the plant, whatever that is, if you're taking 30% of the plant's capacity, then your letter of credit or your sovereign guarantee would be for 30% of the cost of the plant, not for the life of your PPA, which would be in the billions of dollars if it was for the whole plant. It's just for the cost of the plant. But if you do what you're supposed to do, then that never gets cashed in. It's only as a protection for us, and the investors that we bring to do this, so that they have the confidence that if we build this, that there's going to be an ongoing relationship, even though we don't know what the future, person will be on that side of the agreement.
Thank you very much. Please give me a round of applause. He's very knowledgeable and you can see that. So if you want to get email from him, there's a paper going around. Put your email address there. He says he's willing to email out to you. So that's why I thought of the question. He's going to get it to your email address. Thank you. Who's next? Next, please.
Honorable Chairman, our special guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Paga Princewell, and firstly, I'm the chairman of the patrons, and I am also the chairman of the U.S. Africa Chamber of Commerce in Rockefeller Center, New York. My presentation is about the introduction of modular construction system that we can be able to extend to Nigeria. The package we are putting together actually is going to be done in South Sudan and later in Kenya. So I figured that it can also be done in Nigeria. The modular construction system is a system where a lot of experts all over the world have been worried about the impact of weather, mostly inclement weather or bad weather in the construction industry. A situation where sometimes in the Western world, during the winter months, no construction takes place. And in Nigeria, because of the rainy season, you find that the greater part of the year is spent waiting for good weather. So this scheme is a scheme where most of the work is going to be done in the warehouse or in the factory, so that everything is packaged in the factory. All what we need is a site that will be provided by the state or the city that wants to get involved in the program. But we are making it a policy that any country or state that wants to get involved must be a member of the United Nations. Why we are saying this is because the job is done as a JV, joint venture between companies with us in New York and US with other investors. Why we also having the United Nations involved is because they want to guarantee payment, and they want that country to also underwrite or guarantee that they are going to get paid in their own part of the investment. So this I call the principal modular construction system. And I'm going to show you a project that we did in New York. Basically, the job, after we have a plan, an engineering plan, okay, after we have an engineering plan in place, we now take the plan to the factory where we begin to set up our fabrication system using steel. So after we have completely done the fabrication by involving structural welders, then we now gradually lay our floor assembly ready for reinforcement. So the reinforcement can take reinforcing wires where we lay in order to make sure that everything is evenly poured. So after we finish that process, then now we begin to pour the concrete. Now after when we pour the concrete, we look at the building envelope. For example, if you break apart this building, you are going to see that it has 4 major envelopes, probably north, south, east, and west. So every envelope can be developed separately. And every envelope can also be done in such a way that all the windows and doors can equally be built separately. So that after we finish all the process, then we now begin to assemble it at the site. Or we do everything in-house before we begin to look for a staging area. That staging area, the state or the city must provide security and also make sure that the area is cordoned off, so that once we set our staging, there will be no interruption. Now, when it comes to the issue of the electrical connections, all that can also be done in-house in the factory, so that we complete every module section by section, so that when we go to the site, it will be easy and also cut down on the amount of time we spend in order to start the installation process. Next one.
Okay, next page.
Yeah, next page.
Go down. Let's go.
Okay, good.
All right.
Okay. Okay, here you see that the concrete has already been poured.
Okay.
Okay, you take it.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that the concrete has already been poured, and we try to make sure that it's well compacted so that there are no cracks when everything is set and dry. Next page.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a typical warehouse factory where we operate. Floor by floor can be built simultaneously if we have enough manpower, and people work 24 hours, 3 shifts, or sometimes 2 shifts. So if we take such a thing to Nigeria, it becomes necessary to have 24 hours light, or at least a generator plant that can be able to effectively man the operation. Next page. Okay, here you see that the wiring for the walls have been installed. And another way to also do this is, like in the Nigerian process, is to create what we call a building core. If we have a core, then all the wiring can go through that core from beginning to the end.
All right. Next page.
Okay, now you see that the plumbing, when we are doing the pouring, we try to make sure that wherever the plumbing pipes have to be installed, it is protected.
1 more minute.
1 second.
1 more minute.
Oh, okay, so we make sure that all the plumbing pipes, wherever the pipes will go, they are protected early. Next one.
Next page.
Yeah, next page. Okay, here you see that the walls have been installed. This is what we call the building envelope. So when you begin to build a building envelope, you put all the windows and the doors at the same time. Next. Okay, here we try to also install the electrical and the HVAC systems by also putting the registers at the right places. Okay, here we have somebody trying to make sure that all the electrical connections are properly fit and set. Next. Okay, these are some of the cable wires that we need that will make the connections from top to bottom. Next. Okay, here we begin to do the interior. During the interior work, we do all the caulking and taping and everything in-house, so that by the time we take it to the next level, everything is finished. Here the painting has already started, then you have somebody already, taking care of the floor work.
Achieve! Now we call on, wow, this guy, I know him, the one coming up now. His brain is so sharp, even without him speaking. Yeah, yeah. The guy is a big grandfather for what we call it, what's that for schools again? Charter schools. As you see him stand here, he has up to 12 charter schools in California under his management.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Can you look into my camera?
Look at
Stay right there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all the guests and all the other executives and the board and all the members. I'm making a presentation on charter schools. In the United States, there are innovative ways. A couple of years ago, President Reagan realized that U.S. Students are not performing well. They're performing less than other industrialized countries. He set up a commission to look into what the problem is. Science and technology, they're supposed to be the leaders of the world. They come up with a system with a recommendation that there are problems with the school district. The school that are run by the government, there are problems. They've created opportunity for anybody who can can demonstrate that you can do better than the government. They will give you the money. Take the money from the government and give you to run the schools, because their goal is to make sure that their students are the best. So they provided an avenue for charter schools. So charter schools have, first of all, I want to give a background page. I want to give a background on our company. We are located in California, Valley Business Management. Just go to the next page. The next page. Yeah, this is we have over 30 years experience in fiscal management. In 1998, we have taken the company from a deficit of 400,000 to a surplus of 200,000. In 2001, one of our charter schools was named Charter School, Elementary School of the Year by Time Magazine. We also have written grants and got facility grants for $14 million for one school. And this year, we were recognized by Life and Time Magazine, a Nigerian magazine in South.
First come, first time, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, like you said, in Nigeria, it may be possible or impossible to have this kind of setup in Nigeria. But here in the United States, someone said yesterday our culture is going down the drain within us here in the United States. Is there any way we can open up charter schools so that we can incorporate our languages or anything into it within the system here?
Yeah, you can teach language.
No, what I mean, we have the charter school ourselves, so we can incorporate this into.
Like having a Nigerian.
Yes, you can. There are some charters.
I like Nigerian secondary school. K through 12.
Yeah, there are schools that are open there for African culture. There's culture, schools that are in Los Angeles Abbott School that teach mostly. They emphasize African culture, and at the same time, the key thing is that you have to be able to still perform according to the state standards.
Correct.
But you can introduce other things that aid in doing that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you ask once your hands go up, I must give you first.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
It is what Ms. Alaka said is quite correct. We back there at home, despite the falling standard of education, it's still very difficult to come up with measures that will now say, okay, these are the measures Nigeria is expected to follow. But I after discussing with Mr. Haliru, I discovered that it's really not very difficult to introduce this kind of system in the States. All we need to do is to come up with great awareness and begin to talk about how Arise Nigeria will be involved in promoting strategies that will make education standard better. And if this is one of the strategies that we're going to have through Arise in Nigeria, I think Arise USA chapter will need to come up with a formidable presentation so that we'll now go home with a standard strategy that will help Nigeria to, come up with systems that will that will benefit our children, particularly even from the kindergarten level to from primary school, because what is happening in Nigeria is pathetic. Analysis showed that the graduates in Nigeria cannot write letters of employment.
Yes.
That is as bad as that. A letter application for employment. After how many years of university education? So you see, there is need for some people to come up with strict strategies, at least from this level. So I don't know if in your community you are going to put up a very, very strong strategical measure that will tell our people we have tried it in Nigeria. Nigerians have tried it in US. It's working in US, and they want to come home to try it in Nigeria.
Thank you. Please give her a round of applause. But added some good stuff to that. Yes. Question? One more question, we end this section.
I need to.
The reason why charter schools are succeeding in the United States is that public schools are well funded. They have good budgets that can pay teachers well, that can buy equipment, and that can fund education. So if they use, how much money do you use to train? They know how much per pupil you pay. So if you build a school for 100 pupils, the calculator says, if we give you this amount of money for 100 pupils, it'll give us the better results. The problem, how are you going to overcome a problem in which there is no public school in Nigeria that is funded to the level that can sustain education? How are you going to overcome that? There's no public school in my state that receives enough funds to fund education that can make children write letters of application for employment. How are you going to do that?
Yes. To Nigeria to say, okay, give me this money and I want to open a charter school, and so we have to work it two-pronged. First, we and I understand, I'm an accountant, I'm the one that do all the calculations for the budgets for all these schools, and I have like 7 to 12 schools that I have contract with, like Greg had said. So I do all their budgets and I do everything. They depend on me for everything that is financial. So the key thing is that, if Nigeria, let's say Nigeria says they want to give us the one school, let's have a pilot charter school. They say, okay, let's give us this budget. This is the budget, what it's going to cost in order to run the school effectively. And believe me, charter schools are running the schools, less in terms of cost, less than what the public school is running, because there's less bureaucracy and all the other stuff. You have volunteers, you have other people who help. So, so in terms of Nigeria, if they agree to do that, that's what will happen. But what we want to do is to start with training the system, train the teachers, train the administrators on how to run it according to charter schools. And then we can go and monitor it quarterly and make sure the results that we're promising that it will happen. So if they give us a contract to go and train all their teachers every year, and then we can also monitor it every 3 months and tell them these are the objectives that are supposed to have been achieved. Every 3 months, we monitor and see if it is being achieved, it is not being achieved, what is the problem, and we continuous assessment until we get to where we need to be.
Okay, just real quick, I believe I had mentioned this to you yesterday.
Yes.
I know that the Nigerian system, not K through 12, but I'm talking about the 6 through 12.
Right.
We have the state school, the federal school.
Right.
We also have the private school.
Right.
So if you want to implement a charter school, what will be the difference? Because I believe those people who don't, I agree that there's some graduates in Nigeria who don't know how to even write a letter. However, there are students graduating now from these private universities or private schools, private secondary schools that even beat the American students in everything that you can think possible. So what makes you think that this system will be easily adopted? I'm not disputing the facts of what our guests of honor just said, but I'm saying what makes you think that, we don't already have a system that works like that. Now, secondly, I know some states, they offer free education, K through 12, particularly Niger State, which I had been a part of. So why will Niger State, now that has free education, K through 12, except for the private schools, want to have a charter school where they're still going to pay, at cost? So what will make that
First of all, we did not say that charter school that you're going to pay. Charter schools means that you take the same money and do better things with it. That's what that means. You're not going to pay. And second of all, I don't know what is the percentage of students in Nigeria, that school that you're talking about. What percentage of students in Nigeria is that? I will guess that will be less than 10%. So you have a lot of poor students of poor background. They are learning under trees in the north. If you look at education in northern Nigeria just alone, even some of the others, is so bad. Everybody is saying that students is not teachable. No, it is the teacher that is not, it is not qualified. They have to be trained. There has to be professional development. There has to be resources. There has to be attention. It takes a whole community to educate the children. It's not the teacher, the parent, the whole culture has to be education. So yes, I agree some schools do better, but many of those schools is because their parents are rich. How about those whose parents are poor? Like me. If I didn't have, my parents were poor, if we didn't have the right education, it wasn't smart, I would not be here today because I came from a poor family. We shouldn't be educating just rich people's children because ideas are all over. Those poor students also have good ideas. If you develop the ideas, the country is gone. That's the reason why President Reagan did this. Any more questions?
Yeah, one more.
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you very much. And there is only 100 of us in the United States of America. Our specialists, our work is to go and provide what they call quality education. And currently, I'm involved in a research in 6 northern states with DFID, the British arm of the USAID. I just came back from Nigeria in October. 132 million pounds invested in education in those 6 states. That's a lot of money. Are we getting better education? No. Why? Is it because we don't have charter school? Or is it because we have charter school? No. It is a system.
It's systemized to fix the system.
Let me answer. Can I answer you?
Yes.
Also?
No, before you answer, let me just add to what Prof has said. The system, when you go back home, they will say we are all in the system. Every Nigerian is in the system. That's when you say you are government, we say all of us are government. So who are you pointing your fingers at? If you are pointing your fingers at
other
a
one is
particular
pointing at-
person, we are all involved. And that is why this forum, this particular forum, should come up with something to change the system. You can start from somewhere.
Yeah, let me add to that answer, Mr. Professor.
No, go ahead.
Professor, yes, charter school is about the system. I have mentioned President Reagan so that there's performance. It's because of the system. It's because of the bureaucratic system of the school districts that charter schools were created, an independent system, bring innovations in systems, innovations in education, innovations is the system. Yes, it is the system. But the charter schools brings a system that is less bureaucracy, a system that is more innovative, and all the other things. Everything in this world, it depends on systems and management. Everything else fall in line. So yes, you're right, it's the system, but charter schools has a system of encouraging students, has a system of professional education, has a system of results oriented. If you do not perform, you get closed down. So you're right, it's a system, but charter school is also a system.
Thank you.
Thank
Please
you.
give me a round of applause.
There we go.